Now I can turn off the music, and hello everybody. A little bit of a rough start there, but welcome to episode 9 of Laughing Into the Void. I'm your host Tom, and as always, co-hosting with me is the lovely Rosalind Paris. You can find our previous always.
I always mess him up when I do that. Sorry, Tom.
It happens. You say that, and then you do it next week. But always co-hosting with me is the lovely Rosalind Paris. You can watch our previous broadcasts on the District Comedy YouTube and Facebook channels, or listen to them on most podcast platforms. Please consider making a donation of any size at district-comedy.live if you are able, and if not, like, share, and subscribe to our stuff, as that also helps. Your support is mandatory and appreciated. With us tonight is comedian, writer, podcaster, and musician Mike Moran. Mike is a Baltimore-based comedian and host of The Confessional Podcast, where he shares confessions from his audience and guests. Mike has had the opportunity to interview such guests as Michael Ian Black, Michael Winslow, C.J. Ramone, and Michael Graves. I've never seen a spelling of Michael that way before, so I hope I pronounced it right. He's
it's the
also
goth spelling.
What's that?
It's the goth spelling of Michael.
But yeah, he's also written a number of pop culture-based articles for digital publications, and you can catch him on stages in the DMV area and wherever podcasts are available. Mike, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you.
Woo! We did it. We made it.
Beat it through.
Happy to be here.
Woo! All right. So, basically, we'll start the same way we basically start every interview, which is for people who may be watching who don't necessarily know who you are or aren't familiar with your work. How would you describe your sense of humor or your comedic stylings?
Genius, number one. Incredibly successful.
All right.
No. I would say a little bit, a tad bit avant-garde, you know, a little bit alt, not too alt though, you know, but a little weird, I would say.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, you definitely have like that. So for our viewer and or viewers,
at least one. My fiance.
I've known Mike for a few years now, and I've seen him do stand-up a few times. You definitely have like a drier sense of humor, like definitely with like a little bit of a self-deprecating edge in a cool way, I would say.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to tack that on there to your,
Sounds
your
good.
definition.
Well, and I saw, I think it was the more recent one was Pause Comedy, correct?
Yes.
Is the Netflix special that you filmed at Auto Bar in Baltimore.
Well, if you consider my channel on YouTube that has almost no subscribers, Netflix, then sure.
Oh, sorry. Oh my God.
We're just calling everything Netflix now, the same way we do like Kleenex or.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. I will watch it while chilling, so I might as well just say it's on there.
Right.
Yeah, brain fart there, but yeah, no, I saw it, and it kind of like has that like interesting start to it where you're kind of like just staring down the camera,
right? Yeah.
Which was a little bit unnerving, but was definitely like I feel like it added some relief too, though. Like I feel like people talk about in comedy like how, you know, one way people look at it is kind of balancing out like the building and breaking of tension. So I thought that was very interesting, like open to the special, and hopefully gives a little bit of insight for people who are like, what do you mean by it's weird comedy and avant-garde and stuff? So that's an idea, and you should also check out the special. But it seems like also you are a jack of all trades. You do music, you do stand-up, you have the podcasts going and writing for online publications. So do you have a favorite medium? Or do you consider them all kind of connected to each other?
Well, yeah, they're certainly connected. I'm fortunate in that I finally figured out exactly what I want to do, you know? So I have like the 5 or 6 things that I just know I need to do, and I can just work on them consistently. I would say my favorite is probably the original band, The Loss. But that's you know, I've definitely been way, way, way more successful with comedy than music, which isn't saying a whole lot. But I have like some traction in the comedy world, but music is just what I've always wanted to do. I wanted to be a rock star since I was little. And not that I'm going to be a rock star, but I have reached the place where I have a band that I'm really happy with, and I'm happy with the songs that I'm writing, and we sound good and everything. So that's probably what I'm most excited about, even though that's like the one that I have the smallest amount of attention for at this point.
Well, you picked a great time to be really satisfied with the progress of the band that you're in, with all these shows happening right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have found that like stand-up has been a little bit unique in the age of the pandemic in regards to like other art forms. Like I find that with theater and with music, it seems like it's much more difficult, if only on the technical side of things, to kind of bring it into the virtual world. What has your experience been so far with kind of the different stuff that you've been doing, and have you been like trying to do more stuff online? Have you been trying to kind of just rev up the current brand?
Well, I've taken the opportunity to do a lot more writing and thinking about things, you know, like I finally have all this time to sit down and really contemplate things and really think about, like, you know, just things that I wouldn't normally have the time to think about. You know, like I've just been going over like Simpsons clips and like examining them, you know, like thinking about like, why is this so funny? Why is this so good? How do I steal that magic for comedy? So I've spent a lot of alone time contemplating this pandemic, which has been really good for me. As far as performing, I make myself do a virtual open mic every week. Which is hard for me to do. It doesn't come, I don't know. I'm usually pretty happy after I do it, but it just doesn't, it's just hard for me to do it. I don't know what it is, you know, it feels weird. It's awkward. But I make myself do that. I've done a few charity shows online, and we got another one coming up at the end of the month on the 21st. And other than that, I don't think I've really done much else. You know, I've tried doing a few live broadcasts here and there. Haven't really gained much of an audience for that. So I've basically just taken the opportunity to work on writing, contemplating, recording the podcast, and that's it.
Cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
So
yeah.
Just those three very major things then.
Just the three major things.
And contemplating all of life's mysteries.
Right. Yeah. It's weird. It's just a weird time, man. It's like all these years I wanted to have the time. And now we have it, and it's like, oh my God. I get why The Shining happened the way it did. It's like such a weird, like, existential war with myself now, you know, like of having the time and then feeling guilty for not using the time as well as I should. But overall, I think I've made the best of it, and I definitely have finished them. I got something published a couple months ago.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's cool. Oh man, yeah, no, I definitely relate though. I feel like that's a lot of what's been going around is like the pandemic guilt of like, have I been productive enough, sort of thing. But you mentioned the podcast. Why don't we talk a little bit about the Confessional podcast? Tell me a little bit about that project, what it's about. I listened to I think it was one of your more recent episodes. I think it was 105, where you had the speaker on video games.
You didn't listen to my episode?
Oh, yeah.
No. I'm like, I know Roz.
He's got his weekly Roz dose. I think that one was Holden McNeely, wasn't it, from last podcast on the left?
Yeah, I think so.
The video games.
Yes. Yeah.
So it started because for some reason people always open up to me, and I just like weirdly, like when I was an Uber driver, people would just tell me all sorts of stuff, and I started throwing out questions on Facebook and seeing what responses I got, and it ended up becoming a whole thing. And I said, I'm going to start me a podcast on this. And I think I actually went to the radio for like a brief minute. So I had to put it on hold. But then I came back after and got it going. And it's been going strong ever since. We were doing every week. We're trying to get back to that. Everything got messed up in the pandemic, of course.
Yeah.
You guys do know about the pandemic, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I heard one or two things.
Okay.
But
I wasn't sure if you're familiar.
The podcast, I want to dig into that more, but I also, like, my brain just got completely sidetracked. I have to hear about some of these stories that you heard as an Uber driver. Is there one particular one that stands out to you?
One guy, if he was being honest, and I think he was, had just become a millionaire somehow. He explained to me how it worked with his job. He somehow made some deal that ended up landing millions of dollars.
Oh my god!
And he seemed like a relatively normal guy, and that was interesting. And another guy, that's what I was. Well, I think this was pre-tipping actually. Remember the non-tipping days of Uber?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And another person. Their father had just died, and he kind of it's hard to explain. He really had a moment with me in the car, and he wanted me to say the words, "My father just died," with him, so that we could feel it together. It was interesting.
Are you sure you want to be a musician and not play psychiatrist?
Life coach.
Well, why can't I be like why are priests the only confessional guys? Can't I be like a non-secular confession guy?
Yeah. That
There's a huge
is that
market
what
for
non-secular means?
No,
Is non-secular.
Non-secular. Non-secular is not.
Yeah,
religion.
you want to be secular.
Okay. It feels like it should be the other way around.
Non-secular. Yeah.
But if I'm going to get in this field, I better get that straight. Yeah. Why can't that be my profession?
Instead, you record it and broadcast it out to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think there's a huge market for that. Wow. Also, two very different sides of the spectrum there.
Like seriously, if I set up like a booth in public,
yeah,
and you put in like $1 or something to go in, and you get to confess, and then I just listen.
Some people bring that out in other people. Like, I definitely have like, I'll listen to you if you're homeless energy. Because like, if I'm in a crowd of people and a homeless person is looking for someone to hit up for money, they will beeline to me and start having a full-on conversation with me that will eventually lead to them like asking for money, but they're just so happy that I politely listened to them that they'll just keep talking for a while.
And it's not because they thought you were another homeless person?
I may give off that vibe as well. Yeah.
Similar.
No,
similar
you do seem like one of those people that like people would feel safe talking to. You have a very inviting energy.
Oh, appreciate that.
Therapists, priests, and like bartenders all giving off that vibe.
That's true. Yeah.
I thought you were starting a really racist joke.
Oh God, no.
A therapist, a priest, and a bartender walk into a bar. Church.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, somehow that would end up being racist. I don't know how, but there would definitely be some racism in that joke.
Wow.
Cool.
So as far as the podcast goes, who are some of your favorite guests? Who are some of your favorite what are some of your favorite confessions? Or do you have like favorite episodes? Like if someone's looking to like really like start a confessional podcast habit? Like what's their gateway drug?
Oh man, good question.
Also remember that I was a guest on an episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Ros. What did we discuss, Rosalind? I don't remember.
Personal crime stories, like crimes that we were personally involved in.
Oh God.
What was yours?
Mine was actually this guy that Tom knows him. This guy that Tom and I used to be friends with committed a crime spree.
Okay. I'm starting to remember.
He held up a 7-Eleven. I'm actually still Facebook friends with him.
Yeah.
So if I end up murdered tomorrow. He held up a 7-Eleven, the same Dunkin' Donuts 3 times, and a Michael's Craft store.
Did he steal donuts or money?
He stole money. I don't know how much money. I would have taken donuts too, I guess.
I'll tell you this. I bet you they probably threw in a few holes into the money bag too. They're just looking to get rid of them.
Yeah.
They give out, like, depending on the time of day, like if it was after 4:30 in the afternoon,
right?
You know that they slipped in a few like glazed.
Yeah, that's when you want to rob it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they'll be when you buy a glaze, they're always like, you know what, I'm going to give you another one for free.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll throw in more money.
Yeah. So anyway, Pat, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry. Don't come after me.
He probably is too.
But as far as my favorite episode, I really don't know, honestly. They've kind of run together for me, which is a good thing because it means it's been a while since I've had one that I felt was a real stinker, you know.
Yeah.
Not that I have, but you get more confident over time and you start to feel good about it. And I've, I guess it's good that we've gotten to the point where we don't even really think about critiquing them, we just put them out there. So, I don't know. To answer your question, I have no idea.
Well, you've also had some like decently big name. I mean, like, I guess that's Baltimore relative. I'm sure like it wouldn't be a big name in New York, but like Michael Winslow was like a pretty big deal to me, at least.
Yeah.
Or Michael
Did you listen to that one?
Yeah.
Michael Ian Black, yeah. Mike's also open for Michael Ian Black doing stand-up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, twice.
Yeah. So how do you get guests like that lined up? Like,
I just usually I just ask them, honestly. Like I'm telling you guys, that's really kind of the secret to
getting great
stand up
guests.
or podcasting or anything is just ask people. I'm serious. Like that's like this most simple lesson that I've learned that's the most effective. Like if you want to be a part of a show, if you want anything, just ask. And you'll get turned down many times, but you'll get a yes more than you think. And for something that only takes 3 seconds to do, it's kind of worth it. But sometimes I just ask. Sometimes I know them through comedy, like Michael Ian Black. I knew just a tad.
Because
I want to lie and act like we're good friends, but
Mike did feed him cake once. I witnessed it in public.
Yeah, Christine Ferrer and I ate cake on stage with him. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I didn't get any that show.
Other times, weirdly, sometimes agents, and this really makes me feel professional, agents will like contact me and be like, so-and-so is promoting this. Would you like to have them on your podcast? And I'm like, you didn't check how few comments we have.
Yeah.
And yes, we would.
If I have time, I suppose I will have Jay Leno on. No. And sometimes I know people that know them, like Sue knows a lot of people in the music world. I think that's how we got Matt Pinfield, but I'm not even sure because I dropped her name with him, but then it kind of seemed like he didn't remember her. So I'm not sure how that works, but mostly just asking. Sometimes if I really want someone, I'll find their agent or their manager and ask them. Or if like in the before time when we had shows, like if someone was coming to town, I'd contact either them or their manager and say, would you like to promote your show on the podcast? or
Oh.
if somebody's got something new coming out, and you just tell them, let's promote it.
Yeah.
They'll jump on it if they don't ask too many questions.
So basically find someone sort of famous, kind of gullible, who has something adjacent to the area coming out. And just don't be afraid if they answer no.
You miss 100% of the
absolutely.
shots you don't take.
Absolutely. It's, and if, a lot of people will just ignore your message or your email, but, many will get back to you. And when one, somebody like Patton Oswalt, when he writes back and says, hey, thanks, but no thanks or whatever, I don't feel like doing that right now.
Yeah.
Or Henry Rollins, when these people take the time to get back to you, then it really makes you feel like these local fucking assholes that are total dicks and
Yeah.
and are totally rude to you can go to hell, because these people have time.
Yeah, I feel like if I got an email from Patton Oswalt, even if it was a rejection, I'd hold on to that email forever.
Yeah, well, email, restraining order,
whatever, potato. But I feel like probably a little bit has to do with it though, is that even though you say you haven't had a ton of comments on episodes of the podcast, you've built a bit of a platform for yourself. I mean, over 100 episodes of anything is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. I really enjoy doing it. It's definitely like I said, I found what I really want to do, and this is definitely the podcast I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoy it. It's not like I'm living off it or anything, and probably never will. But I like it.
Yeah. You and Bob Rose are the only two friends of mine who make podcasts that I listen to for enjoyment.
You listen to some for
punishment,
masochistic.
Only
reasons.
the gold star episodes of last podcast. No. If your friend's on a podcast or your friend makes a podcast,
sure.
You might listen to it
Right.
just to be a supportive person.
Right.
But you and Bob Rose, who Bob Rose is going to be on, I think in April, actually.
Awesome.
Local genius, Bob Rose. You guys are the only ones whose podcasts I like. I'm like, yeah, I would listen to this if I didn't know this person.
Wow, thank you. I appreciate that. It's nice of you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You also have a good radio voice. I feel like if I ever have really bad news coming, I want somebody to contact you first. And you could call me and tell it to me as gently as possible.
Oh, that is the nicest way anyone has ever called me ugly. No, I appreciate that, Rosalind.
Cool. All right, get into some more of the deep stuff, I guess. So you're very open in your comedy and your other work about your struggles with depression and alcoholism. Do you think that those have influenced you as a performer at all? And do you think that type of honesty is necessary for a comic?
I don't. To answer that last one, I don't necessarily. I think there's many games in town, and some comedians are more honest about themselves. Others are, making shit up, which is totally fine. And honestly, a lot of my stuff is not. I don't think I'm one of the most honest comedians around, because a lot of my stuff is kind of abstract and not necessarily true, because that's just the type of comedy I like to do on stage. I'll take real life things like alcoholism or depression and make an abstract, kind of joke about it, but it isn't all reality per se, and there's some comedians that don't like that. They think you should totally be honest all the time and be talking about your real life. And I say there's many games in town. The podcast and my writing is more where I'm myself, and for stand-up, it's more of a performance. But as far as influencing me, the alcoholism, not really, because I got sober years, way before I ever did comedy. And it came out of kind of getting my life together and then realizing that like something was missing, you know, that I went to comedy or gave it a shot.
Which is like kind of the opposite for most comics. They realize that they're like, they stop doing comedy.
Right. Well, you know, it's like we do self-deprecate and make fun of all the ridiculousness of it, but in reality, it really is like, holy crap! I can't believe I'm allowed to do this. You know, it was like such a pleasant surprise that I wasn't terrible at it. You know, and I was like, oh wow, I can actually do something cool in life. The anxiety, I would say it does influence my comedy because I'm extremely nervous on stage, and you know, it's been a decade and I'm still very nervous on stage. I'm a little less nervous than I was, but I have had to kind of develop a character around that anxiety, you know, but I like that character. I like what's come out of it. It's not like a thing that I don't like. And I slowly get less nervous on stage as the years go by, and it feels better and better. There's a time when like I loved the fact that I was doing stand-up comedy and I felt great about it, but I did not feel good on stage at all. Or even if I had a good set afterward, I still felt like crap because of just all the anxiety, you know. I like couldn't enjoy when I got like a good applause at the end, I couldn't enjoy it, you know. But I knew that if I stuck with it, it would get better. And it has, but I am still very nervous on stage, and I try to like, you know, look at it positively. Like that means I've got a lot more growth to happen, you know, and if I'm okay at it now, then I'll be better later as I get more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting how you say that, because I mean, I have an anxiety disorder too, and when people who know me in normal life, like if they don't know me very well, they're always surprised to find out that I'm a performer, because they're like, "Oh, you're so shy and quiet." It's like, yeah, but I like need the high, man. I need to get off the stage and feel the adrenaline and everything.
Right. Well, yeah, I think it's like. Part of it's like, well, I'm going to be nervous and awkward no matter what I'm doing socially, so I may as well get a. But yeah, people are shocked when they find out I'm a stand-up comedian, and when they come to see me, it's kind of like, were you ever like in high school, you kind of felt like a nerd or whatever, you didn't fit in, but then you'd be at the mall with like your cool friends that the rest of the people didn't know about, and you're like yapping it up and like being really cool and having fun, and then the other kid sees you from school and they're like, oh my god, I guess this guy's cool, or at least that's what I hope.
He hangs out with the greasers.
Right, yeah. That's what it feels like when, you know, people from my job or whatever come to see me do comedy, you know.
Right. Well, and I think that, you know, it's something that people in other areas of performance probably kind of get comfort from too, is what you were saying earlier about like you have that shield of kind of being not 100% yourself, but being the character of yourself, I guess, when you're on stage.
Definitely.
I don't know if that was part of it for you too, Ros. But I know since it was an improv background that you were a plethora of characters, which I think like definitely for people who have some of that anxiety but are trying to push themselves into like performance or into being like a more social person, that's definitely one of the huge benefits.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, for me, when I started doing improv with our old troupe Free Range, like we performed regularly for 7 years together. And when I started, if I was on stage, like I could not look at the audience. Like I had to completely pretend like no one's out there and only look at my fellow performers, and that's what I'm going to focus on. And then, you know, by the time our last show, like it gets easier. It's like, you know,
we definitely got more comfortable towards the end there.
I remember like my first improv class, just the showcase for like our friends and family was like almost too much to come out from backstage, you know, like but yeah, I can't look in people's faces either. In fact, when I talk to people in the audience, I have to look at like their forehead.
See, people always say that, and I've tried it, But like if I look at their forehead, I know their eyes are right here, so I know their eyes are making eye contact.
The
with
judgment
my
is
eyes,
periphery.
and that makes me nervous. So then I have to look above their head, but I know their eyes are still there.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Right.
I just don't wear my glasses on stage.
What you should do is hand out shades before each performance. Make it like a gimmick type of thing.
It's like the old advice of like, imagine everybody in their underwear, but also imagine them with no eyes.
Imagine them all with their eyes gouged out. Perhaps by a
That'll
killer
cost me.
pelican.
Maybe I'm embarrassing myself, but who has eyes?
No, but I do feel like as I've gotten older and my eyesight has gotten worse, if I'm speaking in a public capacity, I just don't wear my glasses on stage, and
Yeah.
it helps.
Yeah.
It's like I can't see shit, so I'm just
Right,
gonna...
yeah. I probably would do that, honestly, except for like I have to do a little bit of interacting with the audience, and I just look way better with glasses, I think.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I
vanity
have
is-
perfect vision,
Yeah.
so that doesn't work for me. But
Yeah, sorry you have those eagle eyes that work perfectly, Tom.
that's okay. I'm working on it. Few more months of like the desk job, and I'll probably be getting there.
Stare into the next eclipse for a while.
Yeah, whenever that is, if we get there. But okay, so the next question we have is kind of talking about the support for depression and anxiety, where we eat cereal. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the origins of that idea, and kind of handling the way that it's taken off?
Yeah, that's another one of those things where I'm pleasantly surprised how well received it's been. You know, it's called a support group for depression and anxiety, where we eat cereal. Basically, I noticed a lot of people, including myself, who already suffer from anxiety, now have to deal with quarantine, anxiety and depression. And I figured, since support groups can be a little sterile and a little cold, I wanted to add some fun into it, thus the cereal. And also I figured, those groups can be kind of intimidating for people, I think, especially for anxious people, so I figured the cereal was like a way to make it seem a little more lighthearted. And it's kind of, taken off. Like it's not like it's a business or anything, but it's like, as far as a group goes, like it's definitely caught on. And now with the Instagram, we're starting to get people from other countries. This last meeting, and I forgot to say, it started as a Facebook page and also a live Zoom meeting on Thursday nights. And there was a 17-year-old kid from the United Areas Imbries. Did I say that right?
Emirates.
Last time, Emirates.
We probably shouldn't be making fun of a country.
That's just that's a weird name for a country. Number one, I'm sorry.
United Arab Emirates, I think, is how you say it, but it's based on my dad's pronunciation, which could be off.
Hopefully a ton of people are watching and correcting us in the comments.
Yeah, maybe your mom knows.
Oh God.
Um,
Anyway, you were saying you had a 17-year-old
so there was somebody
from
from the UAE.
Yes.
On
Yeah,
there.
he got up at like 5:30 a.m. to come to it. And we're getting a bunch of people from the UK. And I'm thinking we might have to start like a UK group so that their time zones match up correctly.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I'm happy about that. Just like using humor and comedy to provide a place for people to be able to talk and listen and make jokes about their issues, and also talk seriously about their issues, and vent when they need to vent, cry when they need to cry. It's just a lighthearted, little silly environment for people that deal with some very serious issues.
Well, yeah, I think it's also interesting too, though, that you have kind of this reciprocating relationship, as far as we just talked about, like how the anxiety kind of informs the comedy. And while it's not, again, it deals with very serious things, so it's not like a comedy thing, but kind of then having it on a lighter platform, it's like kind of a snake biting its tail.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I'll take that.
I think it's good too. It's like
a Fruit Loop, really.
Yeah.
It's like if the Fruit Loop's parrot was eating a Fruit Loop that was also his own tail. And
yeah.
Well, the mascots are rarely made out of the actual.
It's gummy worms.
And you did point out in that group the other day that there are very few female cereal mascots.
Right.
So that's like the next great gender gap that we've got to defeat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's get a woman on a cereal box for once.
I agree. Let's do it.
Yeah, but yeah, it's kind of interesting too. So for anyone who's watching who isn't familiar, people share like serious things. They support each other. They might say might if they're having a bad day, they might post something. There's a lot of meme posting, which I feel like is kind of like our new level of communication as a society.
Yeah, well, a lot of these memes really do kind of hit the psychological nail on the head, like it's weird. Yeah, you're right. That's like a new form of communication. And I feel like some of it's kind of brilliant.
Yeah.
But I just, we make it clear that we're not professionals, and I'm personally, try to like just stick to our own experiences and not, I definitely don't have the key to success for anyone. I can just share my experience and just let people talk, like we just need to be heard sometimes, just listening.
And I think too, having depression, but also having depression coupled with anxiety, it can be so hard to talk about. And then it's even harder just to express what it feels like. So having like a safe space like that where everybody, like when you're like, I couldn't get out of bed this morning, they are like, oh, you're just being lazy. Like, it's like, no, I physically felt like my body was sewn into the bed, like,
right. Some pranksters snuck into my room and must have poured super glue all over my bed.
Yeah, exactly. And now I am both human and bed. Ask me questions.
AMA.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's kind of a cool resource. And it's like one of those things, like, I think you could say it's successful. It's just not monetarily successful. It's like we were talking to Nico, who started the Displaced Comedians group a few weeks ago. And he was talking about, he honestly hadn't had much stage time when he started it. Tom, do you remember like how many open mics he said he had been to?
I do not. I know that it wasn't like too long before he had started, I think, before he then like found the need to start the Displaced Comedians group. Like, I think that was part of it. It was like a start and then stop because of the pandemic sort of thing. But I mean, at this point now, he's probably in like the 500s or something.
But yeah, so he started it because he just wanted to keep sharp on his comedy during the pandemic. So, and that's not been monetarily successful for him either until he pitches his merch and gets that set up. Keep your eyes out, all you Displaced Comedians, for those shirts coming out. Yeah.
Well, I'm going more for a cult leader type of thing myself,
Yeah, which has the best
total
payout
adherence
in the end.
It really, it means more to me to be able to control people, mind, body, and soul, than to get paid.
I see you as more of like a Hare Krishna type cult leader as opposed to like a Jim Jones.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hear cult leader, but I think it's politics. No.
Well,
I think that there is something to be said though about like, the value in like building a community,
Sure.
and the advantages that come with that, even being online. And I do think that it would be a very natural move, and we see people doing it all the time where they do try and either through one mean or another convert that community engagement that they've built up and turn it into something that they can profit from. It sounds like that's not necessarily something you're looking for with your...
No, I don't think so. I mean, yeah, I don't advertise any of my stuff on the page, I don't think it would become anything like... I mean, maybe I'd consider like a nonprofit or something like that. But
ooh, that's a great idea, actually.
I don't even know how that world works, but it seems like something I might be into.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have any plans of like trying to monetize it or anything like that. But there is going to be a little bit of inevitable spillover from just becoming friends with people, and then they come over to my other page and check out a little comedy or whatever. But I don't think it'll be a whole lot.
Yeah.
No, like selling tickets to eat cereal.
I'm signing cereal boxes.
You should get a sponsorship. You should get like Kellogg's to sponsor the group or something.
Yeah.
You can start your own depression-based cereal.
I was about to say, if you're eating Kellogg's, yeah, you're depressed.
That's got to be a thing. Maybe we could get like an interview with the real Captain Crunch, like
yeah.
have him talk live, something like
You
that.
talk about his PTSD after the war.
Right? Yeah. I'll bet you that Trix Rabbit has some serious issues.
Yeah,
I can only imagine. Oh God.
Yeah. Have you found like
The Lucky Charms guy probably has alcohol problems. Sorry.
Well, no.
Harmful stereotype. Tom and I are both part Irish.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Tom and I are both part leprechaun. That is also true.
Also true.
But no, I forget what I was gonna ask actually. We can just keep talking about leprechauns if we want, but no, yeah, there's definitely value in like building that community though, and I think that yeah, so it's good that you're aware of that and don't want to like monetize from it. Yeah.
I'm sure I'll become corrupt with power in some sort of way at some point.
Mike, do you remember that gig like a couple years ago that you filled in for with our like improv troupe?
The outdoor one?
Yeah, the outdoor one.
Yeah.
The Nextable.
Did we do improv on that? I thought that was just stand up.
It was just stand up, but it was like our improv troupe got the gig, and then we realized that not enough of our members had like full stand up sets, that we needed someone to kind of pad the lineup for our stage time.
To be fair, like half of us met through a play, so
I had fun. I enjoyed that show.
Yeah, it was fun. We followed a children's musician.
Yeah, the guy who worked with Lisa Loeb, apparently.
Yeah, that was one of his credits. He did a children's song with Lisa Loeb about bath time, I think.
Yeah. I think he was like a '90s grunge guy who never got like very famous, and now he's a dad who writes children's songs.
That seems like a pretty sensible trajectory for a lot of '90s grunge guys that almost made it.
Well, yeah, it's a lot more positive than the heroin that a lot got into.
Yeah, I mean, there's kids songs and then there's heroin. You can kind of pick one.
There's no in between.
Right.
This is super off topic, but my friend told me this story last night. Like, he has a 6-year-old who's like the coolest kid ever. And he's like got some learning challenges that he's working on. So he doesn't quite communicate like a typical 6-year-old would.
Mm-hmm.
But he's still a really smart kid. And so like he's starting to lose his teeth. And his parents like kind of explained it to him, and they're like, so if you lose one of your teeth, like, make sure that you don't swallow it and make sure that it stays someplace safe. And so like when he lost his first tooth, he just walked up to his mom and just handed her a tooth and just walked away.
These have always brought me luck. Like that Liz Taylor commercial. How terrifying was that we just had to tear our teeth out of our mouths when we were young? Just imagine if you had to pull out a tooth now.
Yeah.
Why was that what is the evolutionary purpose of that? Like,
I remember liking this is probably gross and weird, but like I remember liking playing with like the new gum before the new tooth came in. I remember it tasting weird and thinking that was like cool.
I remember really liking playing with it when it's like loose but not quite ready to come out. You just gotta like flick it back and forth.
Yeah.
Oh,
good
that
times,
feeling
man.
of like twisting a tooth out of your mouth. I don't need to experience that again.
I do like wish that when I was younger I had appreciated the shock value that could have come with it too. Like especially now that I've been doing stand-up comedy, I guess like I feel like that would be a great end to a bit if you're just like pulling your teeth out of your mouth.
Well, I'll tell you what, I honestly did that once, believe it or not. I had a tooth like fall apart backstage, and I literally like went out on stage and like I think I pulled some of it out and showed the audience.
Sorry guys, I'm really stressed right now.
Yeah, I have a tooth that's like half fake, and I guess it had like a huge cavity on the inside and it started crumbling apart.
Oh damn.
Maybe get some dental insurance in 2021.
That's exactly what it was. I hadn't seen the dentist in like a decade because I hadn't had insurance.
Yeah. I actually recently did a dentist stand-up bit about my dentist has been weirdly aggressive during the pandemic. Like they have called me at least 5 times to like tell me to come in for a cleaning, and I keep explaining to them that like a pandemic is not the time when I want to visit a guy who puts his hands in other people's mouths for a living and then like puts his hands in my mouth.
Right.
And they don't listen to me. They just like call me again the next month. So I've started like making appointments with them. And then when I get the reminder, I just call and cancel the appointment because apparently I'm just like too polite to block their numbers.
It sounds like the ambulance that was chasing Tom earlier.
Oh God.
Yeah, there you go.
You've got a dentist chasing you.
I've got a look with these pearly whites and this bone structure. I mean, I can't blame the man for wanting to get up in these gums, but
keep him away. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's why the ambulance keeps chasing me. It's like he just keeps stopping
real?
hearts.
Well, I mean, this would be the perfect time for me to yank a tooth out, but we can't do that as adults.
Yeah, you can.
Well, you can, but it's usually indicative of a larger problem that you might have.
Right. I found a really terrifying true dentist story online that I'll send you after the podcast. It's really, really bizarre.
Okay. Yeah. So what do you have, getting back to our interview questions, which for some reason, Tom and I guess, are super professional tonight and blazed through them pretty quickly for once. But what do you have next on your roster? Like, what big things do you have coming up?
I have January 21st, we'll be doing another virtual For the Love Of. That was my charity show before the pandemic, and we've done a few virtual ones now. And that one will actually be kind of depression-based as well.
Oh, okay.
All the comedians deal with depression, and it will be to benefit an organization that helps with depression. We're not sure which one yet.
Now, was it hard to find a full lineup of comedians with mental health problems?
Oh my God, I had to search high and low.
And I
was scouring the depths. Just too many healthy comedians out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's that coming up. I just had something published in Skeptic Magazine, which is available at Atomic Books.
Oh, cool.
And I have, what else? We should have a single from The Lost soon. That's actually starting to sound pretty good. We're working on that. And also another thing we're working on in quarantine is an MTV tribute band that hopefully we can premiere in the summer. It's going to be like the old videos played on a screen and us performing over them.
Nice.
And also like old MTV footage in between.
Nice.
That's
sounds
coming
awesome.
along really well.
Yeah. Well, cool. We'll definitely have to look out for that. I was actually, so my birthday party idea for last year that got coroned out, I was going to do a 90s tribute party.
Ooh.
So with my birthday being in the summer and my partner owning a venue, Corona willing, maybe we can make something happen.
Absolutely. What month is your birthday in again?
June, but we're probably still going to be in lockdown at this rate.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
what if you bring your certificate of vaccination?
There you go. You get a free shot.
And the sidebar is just so nicely ventilated too that it's like
Yeah.
probably it's practically an outdoor venue.
I think I talk about Sidebar every single episode we have because we just constantly make jokes about venues, and it's like,
Right.
Yeah.
It's a beloved venue, and I love it, and my partner loves it, but it's also kind of a punchline about dive bars that I haven't figured out yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we were interviewing Desiree Walsh, who's like a really brilliant comedian, and she was talking, so Desiree uses a wheelchair, and she was talking about sometimes she has physical access problems with venues, and she was like complaining about venues that have their bathrooms in a basement, and I was like, well, what if it was a basement venue that you had to walk up some stairs to go to the bathroom? Because that's what we've got.
Right.
But
yeah, but the bathroom part is on level ground.
Yeah. It's great. It's
You just
also,
wouldn't be able to do anything else.
Yeah. No comedy.
It's also
If she's there just to use the bathroom, she's fine.
Yeah, that's it. You can come in and pee. You just can't, get on stage easily.
Right. Oh, my back hurts. That's why I'm sitting up. Sorry.
You're good.
But yeah, actually, my favorite part about Sidebar is like, so it's where I've seen Mike do stand up in a bunch of venues, but like I've definitely seen you do like open mic stuff there. There's a local comedian named Dark Mark who we should try to have on this if we can.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll do it. He's great.
Yeah, he runs an open mic there. And one of my favorite nights of that open mic was some random drunk weirdo wandering in off the street, just like loudly coming in with no respect for the fact that people were on stage performing. And Mike was like in the middle of his set trying out new material, and the guy just loudly starts trying to buy acid off of Mike, who's like just trying out some new material. It was a good night. It's a good night.
Yeah, sometimes sometimes that's the weird thing about like hecklers and people that are distracting and interrupting. Sometimes it just sucks. It's just annoying, and other times it turns into like great comedy.
Yeah, I respect people who can do that. That is a bridge that I have not yet had to nor want to cross. I hate crowd work in general, let alone if somebody's like drunk or like especially belligerent.
Yeah, I was never much of a crowd work kind of guy, but I'm starting to enjoy it more.
Yeah.
And I really want at some point to be like kind of an improvisational stand-up comedian. I mean, we all are to some degree, but I would love to like be able to walk into a show confident that I can just like riff, and not have to just rely on my. I mean, I love bits. I'll always write bits, but I think it would be really fun to be able to just improvise more.
Yeah. Yeah, when we were talking to Ralph Anthony, he told us this story about a corporate gig that he was hired to do stand-up at, and he said everyone there was just completely blackout drunk by the time he got the stage because they didn't time the cocktail hour and dinner correctly. Yeah. So like by the time he hit the stage, everyone had just been straight up drinking from the open bar for 3 hours. And so he said he just used his entire 45-minute set just asking drunk people questions and practicing crowd work skills, because he was like, no one's gonna remember
Right.
word
Yeah.
So, sometimes you get those opportunities and you just gotta take the gift, I guess.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'll look for, is I'll just find a really drunk crowd, and that's when I'll be able to practice my crowd work. Only for drunk people who won't remember. But
drunk people who want your number.
Oh, but cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us. I'm gonna try and do us a little bit of an outro. So thank you everybody so much for listening. Again, if you want to support the stream, you can do so at district-comedy.live. We've been speaking with Michael Moran, and you can check him out on Facebook at Michael Moran Comedy. Is there anywhere else that people can find you, follow you, tweet you, all that jazz? Got an OnlyFans?
No OnlyFans. I am on MySpace though. No, just Instagram, Facebook. Really, I do more stuff on my regular Facebook page, so you can just find that and friend me.
There you go. Friend him on Facebook. And otherwise, thank you as always, Roz, for being my co-host. And
thanks for being mine, Tom.
all the love. Canceled. But yeah, and you can check us out next week, 8:30 on Thursdays, either Facebook Live, Twitch, YouTube, or at district-comedy.live. But that's it for